us with some healthy tips for a healthy and happy living. Good morning, Mary.
Oh, good morning. Nice to see you, Monica.
So what are we talking about today?
Well, we're talking about some healthy tips. You know, I started on my show doing a helpful holiday tip segment each week on my show through the end of the year. And last week I wanted to share one. A listener called in, and I want to mention his name to give him credit, because this is not a tip from me, this is from him, Daniel Lanzalata. He's in Southern Connecticut. He's a chef and a food stylist. And he called in and said, among other things, he said, let's start off before anything else by thinking about holidays as a way to celebrate life. Pure and simple. And as soon as he said that, you know, my reaction, it put it in perspective, but as soon as he said that, I realized that I had adhered a very joyful perspective to the whole thing, and much less stressful. So let's just do that. Think about holidays as a way of celebrating life.
It's true. Holidays can get very stressful. You've got so much to do, so many people to see.
That's right.
So just kind of keep it in perspective.
Exactly. So I want to thank him for that, because I'm going to take that into my holiday season. I love that one.
Did you get any other good ones? Maybe some other favorites that you
Well, you know what else he also mentioned, which sounds very silly, but it's fair, and I remembered this also. He said he's a chef and a food stylist, and he said when you're entertaining, when you're cooking, make sure that you use a cutting board that's big enough. I don't know about you, but I start chopping things on this too small cutting board, and it's falling off the cutting board. It's more problematic than it is helpful. So that to me was a tip that I took away.
On that, a large enough cutting board and then counter space. There's just something to say about having a counter space as well when you're cooking.
Well, and that was when he mentioned also, before you start cooking, if you're doing any entertaining, any big cookie, clear off your counters.
Absolutely.
Clutter-free your counters. Use a big cutting board, and remember that holidays are a way to celebrate life. I just love that one.
I love it. And now you also have a challenge. It's an old challenge, but you're kind of putting a little twist on it, right?
You know, my challenge for last month in October was, and we talked about it, was practice saying no. And I was encouraging people, women in particular, before the busyness of the holidays kicked in, to remember that we don't have to say yes to every social invite that comes our way, every request of our time. Practice saying no. I was emceeing a reinvention convention a couple weeks ago, and it occurred to me that I wanted to tweak that to practice saying no to doubt, fear, insecurity, intimidation, all those things that get in our way from really living our dreams and really living our life boldly. I always encourage people, we should be living our life boldly, and those things don't get us there. All they do is be successful in getting us to a point where we're going to have regrets.
And that ties in nicely with your November challenge as well, to remember to get up in the morning and tell yourself how great you are,
That's right, and be happy now.
That's right.
Remember that we have responsibility for our happiness, and we truly can choose to be happy at any moment, at any point, any day.
Why do you think women especially are so likely to let fear and doubt kind of dominate everything in their life at times?
I think women struggle more so than men, which is just so silly. You really have to stop that, with a fear of failure. You know, the most successful people in the world, in history currently, have a whole list of failures behind them. So we really have to stop being afraid of failure. A lot of women are. And a lot of women, we've not grown up with the comfort level of taking risks. I call it pushing ourselves outside our comfort zone. We need to do that. Going back to what I said earlier, you know, I always encourage all of us to live our life boldly. Don't have regrets.
Should people maybe another good idea would be just to take on something that maybe you didn't think you could take on? It's the holiday season, why not give it a try?
And I say that throughout the year. Whenever an opportunity comes your way that kind of gives you that feeling in the pit of your stomach, like, you know, the butterflies, the anxiety, I say, don't use that feeling as a reason to say no to that opportunity. Use that very feeling as the reason you should say yes. Go for it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mary, so
Thanks,
much
Monica,
for being here. You can hear more from Mary at our website, nbcconnecticut.com. You can search all that.